Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski 2. The rematch takes place this weekend in the main event of UFC 294, and I can't wait for this matchup. It's a great fight for the lightweight world championship. Everyone knows the deal by now. Alexander Volkanovski steps in on a week and a half's notice. As much as I do enjoy the idea of a Volkanovski-Makhachev rematch more than the idea of a Makhachev-Oliveira rematch, purely because of the comparison of competitiveness between their first fights that they had against each other, I don't like this fight being on a week and a half's notice for Volkanovski. And I do believe that Makhachev is going to get a TKO win. And I'm going to go with Makhachev getting this one done by TKO in the third round with a knee up the middle to the face of Alexander Volkanovski. That's my honest opinion. It was the prediction I went for in the first fight that they had, I believe. I think I said Makhachev would catch him with a knee to the face, but I think I said it would happen a little bit earlier. I think Volkanovski is going to be a little bit more aggressive on the feet in the early rounds, on the understanding that now he knows he can stuff the takedowns of Islam Makhachev. He knows he can get right back up, and he knows he's going to be able to defeat Makhachev. He's got that feeling in his mind. Before it was like, I'm up against it here, but I reckon I can get it done. I believe in my wrestling. He didn't know that for sure yet. This time, he's going to have the mindset of knowing that he can stuff the takedowns, get back up whenever he is taken down, and be safe on the ground. And I think it's going to make him more aggressive on the feet. And the way Volkanovski is talking in the build-up here is he's saying he's going to get a KO in the early rounds. That's what he's going to do. He's going to go out there, go right for it, no more hesitation, not worried about anything. Go for it, take advantage of Makhachev on the feet this time now that he knows he can stuff the takedowns. I don't like that mindset because Islam Makhachev is so underrated on the feet. People don't give him credit enough. I know he has the threat of a takedown, but doesn't he have like the lowest strikes received up until that Volkanovski rematch, I guess? He had some of the highest striking defense in the history of the lightweight division. I still think he might have that number, in all honesty. Like, this dude's striking defense is so good compared to what it used to be. And the reason why it's gotten a lot better is because he does a lot better off of his back foot now instead. Before he used to go forwards. We saw that against Adriano Martins. He was charging forwards. You could see Khabib and the team in the corner like, please, Makhachev, stop. They were trying to plead with him not to be so aggressive. And eventually he got counter-struck on the chin by a right hook and put to sleep. But he changed his style. He's way more on the back foot. He does a lot more kicks. Way better as a counter striker. Times his takedowns as other people come in. And I don't think that Volkanovski's going to have a good time rushing in here, because something that happened a lot in their first fight was Makhachev colliding with Volkanovski, being stronger than him, and then still going out there, getting the clinch and landing those knees to the body. He landed a ton of knees to the body of Volkanovski because they kept clashing in the middle. Volk would come in, Makhachev would also go in as well, and they would meet together. I'm going to say KSI Tommy Fury style, but I don't even want to disrespect this level of fight compared to that level of fight. So I won't say that, even though I kind of just did. But they're going to collide a lot in this fight based on the style of each other in the clinch. And I reckon when they do that, Makhachev in the first fight was throwing a lot of knees to the body of Volk. I think now he's going to throw a lot of knees to the face. And that was my prediction in the first one, and it's going to be my prediction for this one. I've also got a lot of other things to talk about in this matchup as well. I think that Islam Makhachev is going to do a lot of trips and sweeps on Volk this time instead. I don't think he's going to be shooting in the open or shooting for a double leg or a single leg, which is where Volkanovski was so successful from in their first fight. I think he's going to do a lot more work. Trying to get double underhooks on Volkanovski against a cage is something that he doesn't do that much in the first fight. He did try it now and then, but I think he's going to do it a lot more this time. And I think with Volkanovski having the idea that he's going to push forward on the feet, it's going to give Makhachev the favor there. You know what I mean? He's going to want to get the double underhooks as they collide. And when you're a taller guy and you can get a double underhook on someone in the wrestling, they're on their tiptoes against you. You know what I mean? Volk's not going to be setting his stance as much as if Makhachev is diving for a single leg as he comes in, or pushing him back and diving for a double leg against a cage. Those are the takedowns that Volkanovski's going to be able to stuff. But if Makhachev can get a single trip, No, what am I talking? An inside trip, outside trip, any type, trip, sweep, whatever he wants to do. If he can get the double underhooks and try and do that to Volkanovski instead and keep him off balance by keeping him upright and trying to make him as tall as Makhachev is, I reckon he's going to have a lot more success with the takedowns. I know he was preparing for another opponent, but Volkanovski wasn't preparing. He was staying ready. He was staying in shape. Whatever you want to say about it, he had a session here and there. He was still staying in shape, staying ready. But as far as Volkanovski was concerned, obviously there was a chance that he might jump in for this matchup. I get it. But he would be fighting in December or he'd be fighting in January. And I made a video on this yesterday. I haven't even checked to see how that video's done, by the way, but I'm going to check it right now, I guess. It's done pretty well. Check it out. Volkanovski recovered from surgery 3 weeks ago. And it's the truth. The guy had surgery 10 weeks ago on his elbow after his fight with Yair Rodriguez, and October was not in the deadline schedule for him. It just wasn't in the deadline schedule for him whatsoever. More importantly, if you want to talk about Volk being in shape or not, they posted something on ESPN MMA about Volkanovski having to cut a certain amount of weight and stuff like that. So we can go through it here. Here it is. Alexander Volkanovski revealed that he was 181 pounds when he got the call to fight Makhachev on 11 days' notice. He was out of shape. He's got a bit of a flabbier belly in this picture that they've taken on him as well. This isn't peak shape Volkanovski. People are saying like, damn, I didn't know he was that big. This really goes out to show that everyone calling Makhachev a weight bully is delusional. Listen, Makhachev's cutting a crazy amount of weight when he's in shape at the end of camp. Lean as can be. Volkanovski is not in peak condition. That's why he's 181 pounds. He's got excess body fat. Maybe it benefits him because he is used to be a bigger dude. Maybe his body just, takes that well, bulking up a little bit in the off season. Maybe that's what it's going to be. But at the end of the day, he had surgery on his elbow 10 weeks ago. Probably got out of surgery 5 or 6, earliest 6 weeks after that happened. He was all good again to start training lightly, let alone sparring. I doubt he was sparring heavy after 6 weeks, but maybe he was going light in the sparring after like 5-6 weeks, who knows. But he for sure wasn't feeling 100% with it until about 8 weeks, 7 weeks after that surgery was done. I don't know what surgery it was, but if it's surgery enough to where Volk's going to need to deal with it, okay, and go into surgery as an MMA fighter, then it's something that's going to take a while to heal. And I don't like the fact that gives him a couple of weeks of good feeling in his arm before he's fighting against Islam Makhachev. He fought Yair in July. We're in October. That's 3 months away. And in that time, he fought Yair, spent some time in the US, flew back to Australia, got his surgery done 10 weeks ago. And all of that, like, Makhachev has just been training, knowing that a rematch is around the line, around the corner, knowing, more importantly, and this is a benefit of Makhachev that he has over any other fighter, by the way, other than maybe Adesanya. When you're a fighter from a niche background, like Islam Makhachev, you know what event is yours. And that's something very important. If you're a US champion, there's 8 US pay-per-views a year, maybe. Who knows what one you're going to be ending up on? When Makhachev fights in February and knows they're going to be in Abu Dhabi in October, he knows from February, the day after his fight with Volkanovski in February, he knows I've got a fight in October. He wanted to fight a little bit sooner than that, but Oliveira was like, I just fought. Like, give me some time to prepare for your title fight. And I don't think that was anything because I think Makhachev knows they're going to have him as the main event of the Abu Dhabi card in October. But that's a massive benefit for Makhachev. He's had long notice on this. He sees Abu Dhabi 5 months away getting booked. He knows he's the main event of that card. Doesn't matter who it's going to be against. Makhachev's going to be the best we've ever seen him. I think Volkanovski's style is going to get him caught with a knee to the face, the way he charges in and does that little shift that he does where he steps through with one leg and throws off of the other side. I think that's going to get him caught in the clinch with a knee. I think Makhachev's going to be a bit more successful with the takedowns as well. And I think Volk knows that he's got to do this early. Otherwise, why is he talking like that? We've never heard Volk talk like that. We've heard him say, I'm going to go for the finish. You know, I'm going to go out there, go for the finish. I've prepared for specifics, you know, and all that type of stuff. He's said all that before. But we've never seen him. I saw an interview headline of him today saying, I'm going to get the knockout in the early rounds. That doesn't tell me I'm so confident I'm going to get the knockout on Makhachev. That tells me that's my best shot of winning, is to get the knockout in the early rounds here. And maybe he truly believes in that. And if he does win, more power to him. I heard Lucas Tracy's picking Makhachev. He's got good odds, Volk. You know what I mean? He really does. But there's just too many factors against him, man. Wasn't full prepared for this. Has to fly across the world on a week and a half's notice. You have to admit this at least. He's got less of a chance in this fight than he did in the first one. Just based on circumstance. He'd already bulked up to 155, lean, to fight if anyone pulled out of Oliveira Makhachev won. Made weight as a backup. Then he had a full training camp, knowing from that date he made weight as a backup, and he wasn't stepping into fight. Then he was like, you know what? I know who I'm fighting next. It's Makhachev. I'm going to stay at 155, stay strong, get in better 155-pound shape, and I'm fighting in February in Australia. That was already known to him. This is so sporadic. This is so sporadic. And I think we're going to see the best version of Makhachev, because I made a video about this last week as well. So I'm going to combine that into this as well, because it's all factors that come into this prediction. Makhachev is going to be the best he's ever looked. Reason being, the first fight with Oliveira, his last fight was against Bobby Green in the Apex. Might have aged pretty well, seeing as Bobby Green just sparked Grant Dawson out cold. Either way, he was in the Apex against Bobby Green. He didn't really know where he stacked up against the top contenders. You know, that was the complaint about Makhachev. I was complaining about it. I was like, who is this guy beat? Fair enough, like, these guys ain't fighting him, but Dan Hooker on a week's notice after he prepared for a striker in Nasrat Haqparast. Bobby Green on a week's notice after he prepared for a striker in Nasrat Haqparast. I'm pretty sure it was the same matchup that they had. Just that's the way the schedule worked out. Other than that, the best prepared opponent Makhachev had fought was Thiago Moises. You know what I mean? And Arman Sarukian, but we didn't really know that yet. But he was coming up at the time. I get that. And he was really good, Arman, but got rocked by Joaquin Silva. Either way, Makhachev didn't really know where he stacked up. So that was a worry for him. And then the pressure. He's got a main event in Abu Dhabi. Home crowd. All the pressure on him. Abdulmanap's legacy. Habib in his corner. All of the pressure was building up for him. First big main event. He's in the fucking headliner position. Like, he's got to fight for the belt against Oliveira, this monster at the time that we didn't know. There was a nightmare matchup for him. Let's just say how it was. On paper, Oliveira seemed like a bad matchup for him. He won anyway. Then he goes across the world to Australia. Worse rehydration clause for him. You know what I mean? Way worse. Doesn't have as much time. I think it was like an 8-hour, 10-hour difference in rehydration time that he got for that Volkanovski fight. Can't dehydrate with the same methods that he can in Abu Dhabi. In Perth, they're very strict about how you can dehydrate. That was the worst weight cut Makhachev is ever going to have in his career. In Perth. And the worst rehydration he's ever going to have. And he still won. Edged it out, fair enough. But still won. In Australia, accounting for jet lag, flying across the world, in Volk's home territory. It's just going to get better for him in Abu Dhabi when he's got all this notice. So I'm going to go with Makhachev. I think he's going to catch Volk with a knee to the face. I love Volk. I hope he wins. I think it'd be crazy if he pulls it off. I just don't think he's going to pull this one off. I really don't. I really don't think he's going to. So we'll see how it goes. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.